So Marshawn Lynch is back in Seattle. That's right. Get your Skittles ready. He is back. It is one of the coolest things that's happened in quite some time, I think. Having a legend of the game, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame running back. I think that, honestly, Marshawn Lynch is the best running back that I have ever seen play. Now, keep in mind, I'm not old enough to have seen guys like Barry Sanders play, for example. Sure, I've seen clips of him here and there, and I'm aware, I have seen some games I've gone back and watched, but in terms of someone that I've pretty much watched their entire career of, there's nobody quite like Marshawn Lynch. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. I think this is a brilliant move from the Seattle Seahawks perspective. I think this makes a ton of sense. I think he will have a big impact for them this season. And one of the things that I think is very unique about him is just the fact that he is probably the strongest person alive in terms of just his leg strength. It's just unreal leg strength, and then you pair that with quick acceleration. He always seems to fall forward because of his leg strength, and he also has just incredible footwork. I mean, it's like he was made in a lab to be a running back. He's that effective. And keep in mind, I am saying he is that effective, not he was that effective. Because the last we saw of him, he was playing pretty great before he got hurt. I mean, listen, that was over a year ago at this point, so we'll still have to wait and see. He's probably not going to be as conditioned as he was, in previous years. That's definitely going to be the case, actually. But I definitely think that you put him on a pitch count, you have him play, 20 snaps, maybe you give him 10 carries. I think he can absolutely have a positive benefit, which is important because Seattle's halfback core is now a little bit weak. They got banged up. They need a new halfback, and I just think this move makes a lot of sense. And so let's just jump into why. So let's just jump into it, and we'll start off with this play. This is actually from his last game that we've seen him play in, and it was, ironically enough, against the Seattle Seahawks. What's going to happen is that Oakland's center, right guard, and right tackle are all going to go out to block those three players right over there. But what's actually going to be really unique here is look at that Seattle defender who's right in the middle right there. He's going to do a great job of disrupting this play. He quickly gets into the backfield, and now at this point, there's no way this play is going to go for too much of a gain. It just isn't. So what would a lot of guys do in this situation? Probably try to run as close to that left guard as possible, squeeze through for as much as you can, and just sort of fall forward and take what you can get. That's what most players would do in this situation, especially players who are, at this point, 32 years old. However, most players don't go by the nickname Beast Mode. Watch how he just lowers the shoulder and drives forward. I mean, listen, that's not like the greatest play you'll ever see. It only went for 2 yards, but I think that kind of play goes to show just the physical nature that Lynch is going to bring to this football team, to the Seattle Seahawks. He's one of the most physical backs that has ever played the game. I really do stand by it. He is the only halfback that I've seen actually beat down opposing defenders, not the other way around. It's not he's getting worn out, it's the guys making tackles are getting worn out. That's just the kind of runner he has always been his entire career, including the last time we saw of him. I mean, I think a lot of people forget, there was a point there in the last season that he was playing with Oakland where he was top 5 in rushing yards. In his last full season that we saw of him, he had nearly 1,000 yards. He had 891 total yards, and it was actually 15 games, not a total 16 games, but that was the second to last season that he's played in, and he averaged 4.3 yards per carry in that season, and then the next season he ended up with averaging, it would have actually been 1,001 yards if he had played for a full 16 games. So definitely this guy is still playing at a productive level, maybe not at an elite level. He's probably not going to rush for 1,500 yards ever again, but you know what? They don't need him to. They just need him to have a positive impact, and he can absolutely do that. Like, this play's another great play. It's just going to be a passing play. He's going to run out over there, and watch what happens right when the ball is snapped. He makes the catch, and now this is a very unique situation. There are 3 Seattle players in the area, so what would most halfbacks do? They would just run up the middle, get tackled. Hey, at least you gained, 5 to 10 yards. Good job, it's a check down. All you're supposed to do is just gain a few yards. But that's just not what Marshawn does. Watch how he just sprints by everybody. Even at 32 years old, this guy has the speed to do something like that, to outrun linebackers. And now when there's a defensive back in the way, he's just going to run over that guy and pick up even more yards. Yes, even still, he's now 32, and I fully expect him to still be similarly at this level, where he can outrun linebackers and run over defensive backs. And he's still just as physical as he ever has been. At least he was the last we saw of him. And honestly, I fully expect him to still be that way. He only has, potentially only 2 more games to play with the Seattle Seahawks this season. Obviously, for them, they're hoping 4 or 5 more games. But either way, I think that the fact that he is such a physical guy, I think it will bring something to the Seattle offense that has a banged up running back group right now. And also, one of the things that has made Marshawn Lynch such a great player, what makes beast mode, is a play like this, where they're going to have their left guard and left tackle run out the block of those two Seattle defenders right there, and they're going to pull Jared Cook over to block another Seattle player. So Marshawn Lynch is going to actually fake as though he's running up the middle, but then he's going to break to the left side of the screen, and that's where he's going to try to run. But what I love about this is once he makes his cut, look at how far he extends that leg. I don't know if anybody is as good at doing this as Marshawn Lynch in the history of the NFL. The way he sticks that one leg out and bends his other leg, it's perfect form, and it allows him to very quickly get the power to shift his body weight in such an extreme way. Because then watch how quickly he can accelerate and get to that second level, and once again, he puts his shoulder down and runs forward, and he always falls forward. Every time he gets tackled, he falls forward and gains an extra 2 yards. I legitimately cannot remember a time where he got stopped in his tracks. It just doesn't happen. He falls forward for a couple of yards, and also, he has the acceleration in that footwork, as you see. Still, I keep saying still because I feel like a lot of people are talking about, well, he's washed up. I don't think he is. I mean, he wasn't the last we saw of him. I think that for whatever reason, people kind of felt that way, maybe partially because he was playing in Oakland where nobody was really talking about him, but I don't know. I think I can easily see Marshawn still having some major success. I don't know how much longer he wants to play. He might just want to play for the rest of this season. And honestly, I think it makes some sense. I've always kind of wondered why people don't do that more often. Like Seattle has done this before when they got Devin Hester. Late in the season, just pick up a legend who maybe isn't in the league anymore, who maybe he couldn't do it for a full season, but he can absolutely play well for just a couple of games. And if not, well, then you're still back in the same situation you started in, so no big deal. And I do want to bring up his acceleration, because his acceleration is still there, and it'll be shown on this play, where, first things first, there's going to be 2 double teams, and what's unique about that is the fact that that means that the Cleveland edge rusher right over there is going to be unblocked on this play. But Oakland is okay with doing that, because they're going to have a jet sweep, and so the idea is the edge rusher will have to stay a little bit further outside, because it could be a jet sweep. But it's actually not going to be a jet sweep, it's just a jet sweep motion, because then they're going to hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, who will just run straight up the middle. So not a bad play. However, right when the ball is snapped, if you notice the edge rusher, he is not fooled. He realizes right away, this is going to be a handoff to Marshawn Lynch. I'm going to run over and try to make this play because I have to right now. But check out Lynch's acceleration. He just runs by him and gets to that second level and is able to gain a solid run on that one. Some of these plays might not seem like they're unbelievable highlight reel level plays. They're certainly not the Beastquake type plays that we've seen him do in Seattle. And that's kind of what he did in Oakland. Maybe he didn't have those big runs, so I guess you could say to some degree he wasn't quite at the same level he has been at, but he definitely still is a very valuable halfback. And I think that the fact that he can turn those 2-yard losses into 5-yard gains will do a lot for a Seattle offense that likes to run the ball. And one more play just to show that Marshawn Lynch absolutely still has it is this one. It's once again going to be a passing play. He's just going to run out and run that route right there. And so Derek Carr, he's going to just take the snap and get the ball to Marshawn Lynch. So Lynch now has the ball, and if you notice, once again, there are a couple of Cleveland Browns in the area. So he's going to have to turn around and try to see what he can do. But again, watch how he's going to stick his feet out like that. It's once again, I mean, honestly, if you wanted to make a Jerry West-style NBA logo for the NFL, you should make one of Marshawn Lynch with his legs like that. Because that's just how that's just how he's able to get the strength that he can to move around, and also how he is able to move so quickly and shift his body weight so quickly. Because watch how he completely jukes out of Brown, then bounces off another one, and it takes like 4 guys to finally bring him down. This isn't deep in the archives. This is literally the last we've seen of him. This guy can still play. I keep telling people this. I said it last year, although I didn't have a YouTube channel at that point. Back then I was just blogging to my 50-page views a week. But now that I actually have an audience, I'm glad that I can share this with people, because this guy can still play, and you're going to see it once you watch that Sunday Night Football game in Seattle with Marshawn Lynch returning. If nothing else, it's going to give them just a huge boost, because that crowd is going to go crazy when he gets announced, and they're going to give him some touches early on and let that crowd just go nuts. I mean, imagine him getting like a touchdown on his first drive. I mean, the atmosphere is going to be insane. If you're going to that game, have some fun, because that's going to be wild. In all honesty, it's one of the coolest situations that's happened. I mean, a Seattle Seahawks legend deciding that I'm going to, join the team right before they play their most important game of the season to try to win their division or maybe even get a bye week depending on how things break out. It's honestly just fun. It's just a cool situation. It's something you like to see. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think of this Marshawn Lynch situation. I think it's pretty awesome. Let me know what you guys think. I always enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. And as always, thanks for watching.